again, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Calimesa Insider podcast. My name is Will Kolbow. I'm the city manager for the city of Calimesa. And this is a very special episode for us because we are, this is our State of the City episode. And obviously, I think you can tell, and you'll be able to probably really tell as you listen to the rest of the episode, that I am coming to you from basically inside my office on the Monday following State of the City. And so the first segment that we recorded out there, we had some technical difficulties at the State of the City, and that technical difficulty was I forgot to hit record on my podcast board here. So, but Rachel Gustafson, who's the editor of the Yucaipa Calimesa News Mirror, is a lifesaver. She happened to be recording that first segment, live streaming it, so I was able to pull the audio off for that. Excuse me. So we're going to get to that in just a second. But before we get to that, I just wanted to, again, first of all, say thank you to our city staff for all the hard work that they did in putting this event together. I mentioned it again later in this episode about all the work that Darlene Gertis put into this event. And but I know our public works crew worked really hard in actually, executing the vision based on that direction and putting all the stuff out to, the decorations and getting everything together. They did a lot of hard work to make the event happen. And then all of our city staff that attended and worked the City Hall tent, their help is much appreciated. And again, thank you to the Calimesa Chamber of Commerce for their help. I do want to give a quick shout out to the Beaumont Cherry Valley Recreation and Parks District, who provided the stage for us. And is actually they have a portable stage, but in this case, it was already rented, and they had promised us a stage, so they actually rented a stage for us. But that rental was paid for by Riverside County Supervisor, 5th District Supervisor Ixchien Gutierrez's office. So a big thank you to the supervisor's office for funding that. It was a great stage. I mean, it's a big time stage. It's made for, legitimate concerts and things like that. And there was nothing portable about it. It took them about 2 hours to put it all together. And I'm sure it took them probably almost that long to take it down. So big thank you to both the Recreation and Parks District for coordinating that and to the supervisor's office for paying for that. So since I did not record the first part of the episode, we're going to pick it up in progress. And so that's where I kind of get into the city's accomplishments for the State of the City. So I hope you'll enjoy this first segment. Joining us later on the podcast will be Councilmember Jeff Cervantez, Councilmember Linda Molina, and we're going to have Donea, Matheson, and Shea Choy from the Calimesa Chamber of Commerce, all of whom we interviewed at the day of the State of the City on the live remote. So hope you'll enjoy that. And so here we go with our accomplishments from the State of the City. Hope you enjoy.
So since it's the State of the City, I do want to highlight our departments, and I do want to highlight some of our accomplishments and also some of the things that we have in the works currently. So we're going to break this up into segments. We're going to do a few minutes here and there. We're going to hopefully get some guests on, hopefully someone from the Chamber of Commerce up here later if they've got time, because I know they're really super busy with the vendors and making sure that the event's running the way it should. And so when we were planning this event, it's been 7 months in the making, and it's incredible to see it actually come to fruition. And actually, this is actually the day of, and I don't know if it could have turned out any better. The layout is great. The design, the decorations are awesome. And so it's really good, that, and I think our DJ, Brian, he's from the city of Yucaipa, so we won't hold that against you. But no, we're excited to have him here, and so I'm actually, you hear the echo when we're broadcasting and we're using his equipment, so it's pretty cool. So we, there was a lot of meetings, a lot of discussion between us and the Chamber of Commerce, because the State of the City is a key event for both the city and the Chamber of Commerce as well. And so one of the primary goals we had with this is that we wanted this to be a successful event. So we'll talk to hopefully Donea, Matheson, and Shea Choy from the Chamber of Commerce a little bit later to kind of get their take on this event and what it went into it. But I do want to talk about some of the accomplishments that we've had. So one of the things that people are always concerned about with the city is infrastructure, and we're going to probably do a whole podcast episode on infrastructure. And but I do want to talk about some things that we have done in that realm. Our pavement, our streets, we've got some old streets in this town. There's no doubt about that. And so one of the council's big goals, especially with the opportunity that the American Rescue Plan Act funds allowed us to have, was to be able to actually put money into our streets. So that was what we dedicated that money to. And we accomplished some repavement, about 2 lane miles of pavement at a cost of about a little over $2 million. And so paving streets is expensive. And but the streets that we did do look great. And we have it in our budget to do even more this year. And so we're going to start the process of picking which streets will be rehabbed in the near future. And we also were able to get the neighborhood south of Myrtlewood was the area we focused on, and also on the Buena Mesa Drive area are the two areas that we did this year. And again, we will be going through that evaluation process very shortly to figure out which ones we're going to do next. We have worked with Congressman Ken Calvert's office. He is our new congressman as of 2023, and included, hopefully, with the federal budget, assuming that it gets passed. There's a lot of things happening in Washington right now that are a little beyond our control, but if we do get a federal budget passed, Calimesa is set to get $7 million from that budget. $4 million for improvements at Calimesa Boulevard and County Line Road. If you've driven through that area, you see that big dip there. That's probably one of the challenges, but we want to make traffic flow through that intersection more efficient. We also have $2 million going to the Cherry Valley Boulevard interchange ultimate improvements. So if you've driven out there lately, you know that there's a lot of work happening out there, and that's just interim improvements. So we do intend to have improvements out there to make the interchange even better. And so if you want more details on both of those projects, go see our engineering table inside of Work Hard Ridge. That's our City Hall tent. We also have $1 million going to our new Emergency Operations Center, which will be included with our new fire headquarters. And that will be located adjacent to the Oak Valley Town Center. So that's in the plans right now. And so that really came to the forefront when we had the 2019 Sandalwood fire, and the importance of that operation, because we had to kind of do a makeshift EOC to manage that incident. And obviously we know that we're in a very high fire danger area, and I can actually see from here the rebuilt trailer park that was destroyed as part of that fire. So it really, hits home just sitting here on the stage that you can see the need for that. So us being able to efficiently administer emergency services is very important and critical to the community. We also had the Summerwind Park grand opening, and that was very exciting back on August 8th. Our third park, and it's a beautiful, beautiful facility. We're really excited to have that amenity for our community. And as we develop, as other areas of the city develop, they will have parks as well, but that's the first of hopefully many to come. And earlier this year, we had our first Earth Day event that was held right here at Mesa View Middle School. So one of the things I do want to give recognition to is the Yucaipa-Calimesa Joint Unified School District for allowing us to use this facility. It's a great facility for us, and this large parking lot really allowed us to bring this event to life. So we thank them for that. So when we come back on the podcast, We hopefully will be joined by members of the Chamber of Commerce, or hopefully that we'll have interviews with council members later. And so stay tuned for that.
Welcome back to Calimesa Insider. Will Kolbow here, City Manager for the City of Calimesa. And Rachel, I have to give a shout out to Rachel Gustafson from the Newsmere. She's the editor of the Newsmere. Luckily, she was live streaming my first segment, which I failed to record. So if the audio from the first segment is a little bit odd, that will be why. And Ryan Miller, our DJ, I almost screwed up this one too. So he luckily he reminded me of that. So joining me right now on the stage is Councilmember Jeff Cervantez. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Hey, it's good to be here. Shout out to everybody in the city and the residents.
So, Jeff, why don't you, before we get into your job as a council member, why don't you just tell us a little about yourself, your background, and things like that?
Absolutely. So, been involved with local city government since 2017. Started as a commissioner on the Parks, Trails, Community Service Commission, and then moved to Planning Commission a year or so later. I don't remember the exact date. And ran for council in 2018. Fun fact, I actually lost to an incumbent, Jim Hyatt. Jim Hyatt was just a great person who was involved with the city for many years. Unfortunately, he passed away several months later, and then I was appointed to take his seat. And so I've been involved with council ever since. Ran for re-election in 2022?
I think it was 2022.
Was it? 22,
yeah,
right. So just recently re-elected. And my day job is I work at Crafton Hills College, where I teach. I've taught there since 2013.
All right. So in your role as council, when you first decided to run, what was your motivation? What were your goals in doing that?
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, my daughter was 14 years old at the time, my oldest daughter, and she was an impetus or a motivation for me in running. There was some things going on in the city at the time, and I was talking to one of the residents, and they were very upset about an issue. I won't get into the details of it now. And I started talking to them, and my daughter overheard, and she was like, "Wow, Dad, that seems like something you're really passionate about. Maybe you should get involved." And I'm like, "Hey, maybe I should get involved in the community." And I started talking with those who were involved in the city at the time, and just decided to get involved as a commissioner to start out. But really, it was just wanting to make a difference in the community and show my daughter in particular that you can be involved and you should be involved in your local government and have an impact on your community in whatever capacity that is.
So, I think maybe people don't have a real, grasp, a good idea of what is involved in being a council member. So when you first are appointed, so you get appointed to the council, what were there surprises? Like, what were some of the things that maybe you didn't expect when you first got onto the council?
So the biggest thing I remember being surprised about was being involved in regional committees and regional work. I think at the time when I first got involved in council, I thought I was just going to be involved in Calimesa, and it was just going to be involved in making decisions and being involved in staying up on community events and community activities. But very quickly did I learn that actually being involved in city council is much broader than that, because there's a lot of regional issues, as you know, Will, local city issues, city of Yucaipa in particular, or city of Beaumont, issues related to water. And in particular, we have county commissions like WRCOG and RCA, and I had no idea what these were at the time, and that even city council members were involved in these sort of activities in a broader region. So that was a real shock and surprise to me that working on city council is important not just for your local city, but also for your region.
So I know one of the main roles you have in the region is sitting on the RCA board, the Regional Conservation Authority. So why don't you tell us about that particular role a little bit?
Yeah, so being a member of the executive board for RCA involves a number of things. Number one is we attend monthly meetings where we review conservation issues in Riverside County. Riverside County has one of the largest that I know of conservation efforts in the country, certainly the region, state. And we have a multiple species conservation habitat plan.
Yeah, it's the it took me a while to get that one too. It's the MSHCP, Multi-Species Habitat Conservation Plan.
That's right. And this plan is really our guiding document for conservation in Riverside County. And what we do is we try to identify core properties that are important for conservation in the county and create critical linkages for wildlife and for plants and so forth.
So now that you're on city council, obviously you talked a lot to people in the community. What do you in your role in that, what do you think is maybe the biggest misperception about what city council does that maybe people have in terms of, maybe the roles of the council versus staff? What is that? What do you run across in that realm?
So I think the biggest misconception about city council is that we have more control of what happens in the city than actually does, right? In particular, what sort of businesses get built here, what's right? I don't know how many residents come up to me and say, hey, we should get a Costco here in Calimesa, or we should get a Target here in Calimesa. Well, why aren't you making that happen? And it's like, well, that's not my purview, for one. I'm not in control of that. I don't have the power to just do that. And so that's one of the biggest misconceptions, I think, in the public, is that we have control over which businesses decide to do business here.
I plan on doing an entire episode just on that because, economic development, I think, it's kind of a mystery to a lot of people. And, you're right. We don't have any control over which particular businesses come. We can zone things. We can incentivize things. But at the end of the day, they have to make a business decision to come here, right? And they have a multitude of things that they look at, especially when you look at a Costco, which is such a big regional type of business, right? So it's not just looking at Calimesa, it's looking at a 10, 15, 20-mile radius, looking at populations. And one of the challenges that we have as a city, it's both a blessing, mostly a blessing, but it's a curse in one way, that we are surrounded by mountains. And so that limits development and limits growth. So it limits the number of rooftops. And that is a key thing that big businesses that look at in terms of the population it's going to serve. It has to serve a sufficient sized population to justify its location. And I think that's a challenge that we're always going to have just based on our geography. But there's always ways there are always things that we can do to try to counteract that. Like I said, incentives, and just trying to be as business friendly as possible. We're trying to control what we can as much as possible to make us attractive to those businesses. So right. That's a great one, because that is definitely a struggle that we have. Right. Anything else you wanna talk about that I didn't cover, or?
Oh, that was great. That was a lot of fun. I think.
There you go. You're good.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. That was a fun conversation, and I really enjoy listening to your podcasts when they come out. Were they monthly, or are they?
They're monthly.
They're monthly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you don't know about our city manager's podcast, you should know. He talks about a number of important issues going on in the city, and just broader concepts related to local government. And your most recent one was on what topic?
It was on the fire department.
Fire department. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bonnie, I saw Bonnie here earlier. I think she's left now, but Bonnie Johnson, our former city manager, who was obviously, kind of the architect of putting our fire department together. So I had her on as guest because I think it's important. I think especially people that have just moved here to understand the why, right? And that's really the whole purpose of the podcast. It's really the why more than anything, because I want people to understand why we do things the way we do, and sometimes there's misconceptions there. So I want to make sure we educate and inform the public, and we're trying to do it as in many mediums as possible. So I appreciate that, and I know that for the people here today, you'll be at the city council booth coming up here shortly. I don't want to
5 minutes.
I don't want you to miss your shift. So
right.
Well, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast.
It was great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. When we come back, we're going to have some more guests. We're going to see what happens. Like I said, I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants on that. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much. Welcome back to Calimesa Insider. And before we get to our next interview, I do want to once again thank all of our sponsors. And we're sitting here on the stage here today. The stage was paid for by the Supervisor's Office, Supervisor Ixtian Gutierrez, and provided by the Beaumont Cherry Valley Recreation and Parks District. So thanks to both of those entities for getting us set up today. So now, joining us on the stage is Councilmember Linda Molina. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to see all the community come out today. Hello, Bill. I won't say anything bad. No worries.
So, tell us about yourself a little bit, your background, and how you came to Calimesa.
Okay. My first elected experience was back in 2000. I was living in San Gabriel, and I was elected to a school board. I was president there of that school board until we decided to move east. We moved east for health reasons for my husband, and came out to Calimesa. Really didn't know we were moving to Calimesa. We thought we were moving to Yucaipa. We came here to Bob's Big Boy for with our grandkids, and we're happy to find out that we lived in Calimesa, not Yucaipa. But my background, my last employment was 18 years with the Housing Authority, City of LA. I grew up in Los Angeles and was familiar with all of the transportation opportunities there. And when I came here, was sad to see that we didn't have that set up here. So that's been kind of a focus for me, housing and transportation. I'm interested in senior housing specifically, but I've enjoyed my time on council immensely. I'm finishing my second term and looking forward to re-election next year. Thank you.
So in terms of since you came with some elected experience, I think that you probably didn't have too many surprises, but were there any surprises that in terms of your role as a city council member that you weren't expecting when you first were elected?
Yes. My biggest surprise was I couldn't understand when we were doing our budget overview why we were having to pay these county entities so much money. I said, we're such a small city, what are we getting back from it? I don't see that. Well, once I learned that the funds are processed through projects. We don't for instance, transportation projects are funded through RCTC. RTA is our transportation agency. So once I learned all of that, I understood, because it didn't seem to me that it was a worthwhile return for us. But of course, that was a learning curve, and that was a surprise to me. I didn't know that was part of a responsibility of a council member to get involved at the county level, but it's been rewarding.
So you mentioned transportation. I know that's a very big, passionate issue for you. And you are on the RTA board. As a matter of fact, you are the chair of the RTA executive board. So tell us about your role on the Riverside Transportation Agency's board.
That's an agency I've enjoyed working with. They are a great company. We're in the service area, believe it or not, even though we're on the other side of the freeway. Most of the RTA buses you don't see because they're San Jacinto, Hemet, and all of Riverside County. But we have issues in Calimesa because people don't like to ride the bus. They would rather drive their car. And so how do you get people out of their car? We have to present to them opportunities for public transit. So important, not just buses, but trains as well, and making the connections. So another previous council member, Winona Duval, she and I used to work together to train people, mostly senior citizens, how to use a smartphone to get bus tickets and make train connections to get them out of the city if they didn't have a vehicle. But one thing that I've really loved about RTA is that they're always looking to improve services for the community. One such project that's a pilot program right now in San Jacinto and Hemet is the Go Micro project. And that's basically like a bus, but like working on an Uber process. You call them, it's call on demand. You call them, they pick you up, they bring you back. So I'm looking forward to bringing that to council soon and offering that information to the public to see if that's something we would like to do. But I see that as a solution for our new communities.
That's great. So in terms of your role in council and interacting with the public, obviously that's a big part of being on the city council. Are there any, and this is a question I asked earlier to Councilmember Cervantez as well, what do you think are some of the misconceptions people have about the role of the council and what you do as a council member?
Well, one of the biggest issues is people who are not familiar with how cities are run. They don't understand when they come to a council meeting, first of all, they don't realize that it's a city council meeting. We can't respond to issues that come up during public comment. And while we try to explain that, I think most people who are not familiar feel that we're just trying to evade issues and not communicate and respond to them, when that's not the case at all. If it's not agendized, we can't speak to it. So that's a big issue. And we've done trainings in our city. I think our city's done a good job in offering trainings on how planning commission works, how city councils work, to explain those processes so they have a better understanding of what they can expect to get out of coming to a council meeting. It's not that we don't want to talk to you, but it's just a process that we have to follow. And so the difficult thing too is because of the Brown Act, I know a lot of people have heard the Brown Act. For council persons, we can't speak to each other in between council meetings because that violates that law. We have to be transparent and do all of our meetings in public. And so I think people have a misconception about that as well. I think they think we're either hiding information, or evading, and that's not the case at all. We encourage people to come to council meetings, and we encourage people to get involved, go to commission meetings, get involved, get on commissions. That's a good way to learn how cities run. It's very rewarding. I've served on a couple of commissions myself, and Planning Commission was one. I even participated in our Citizens on Patrol project here in the city, which is a way to learn the city geographic area. But get involved in your city. You want to know what's going on, get involved and get information directly from the staff so you know what's rumor versus what's actually happening.
And, in terms of public comment, especially when, people have specific questions, staff tries to, to the extent we can, reach out to those people and try to address some of their issues. And sometimes, they've come to staff and maybe have been frustrated with the answers and things like that. So they come to council and they're looking for answers. And I certainly do empathize and understand sometimes with members of the public that may be frustrated with that. So I get it. And but like you said, if it's not agendized, the city council can't have a conversation about it because there might be somebody else that was concerned about it. If they'd been on the agenda, they may have showed up to speak about it as well. So that's why it's important that we stick to items that are on the agenda so that every member of the public has their chance to participate. In terms of, some of the things, some of the decisions that we make, as far as like public hearings and things like that, when you talk about not being able to talk to council members between meetings, sometimes that can lead to, things maybe not going as smoothly as they otherwise might if we'd be able to all kind of get it figured out ahead of time. And so part of what you're seeing is the public process playing out right before your eyes because, the council as a whole hasn't had a chance to talk about it. So this is the first time they're talking about it as a body. And so sometimes that could lead to, it seems a little bit disorganized, but the alternative would be that you discuss it ahead of time and then the public's not privy to the conversation. So that is the reason that the Brown Act is in place, is because it was rooted in the fact that cities used to operate that way. Of course, state government isn't subject to the same rules. They have some sunshine laws, but not nearly to the extent that local government does. So it is really interesting it seems like there's two different rules between the state and local governments. Seems to be a theme around here lately.
Right.
So is there anything else you'd like to add to this?
Yeah, I'd like to tell everyone, citizens who are listening, the great thing about city councils and the Brown Act protects this process is you have 5 different people. Each person has their own perspective. Each person has their own focus. And the great thing about that is when they meet at a council meeting, you have 5 different areas of focus on a topic. And so hopefully between the 5 of us, we cover all the issues that, Joe or Jane citizen has, in the back of their minds or wants to discuss. It's a great... It was designed as a great process, and I think it works very well for our city. We always encourage people to come to council meetings, get on commissions, come to the planning commission meetings, and so on. But if you have information, reach out to the staff. They have it. They'll provide it. We just want you to be informed and to make the right decisions. And come forward. Send us emails. We do respond. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on the podcast. I really appreciate your time and I appreciate your service to the city.
I've loved it. Thank you.
Welcome back to Calimesa Insider. Joining us on the podcast right now, who are here at the State of the City, is the Executive Assistant for the Chamber of Commerce, Donea Matheson, and the President of the Chamber of Commerce, Shea Choy. Welcome to the program, ladies.
Thank you.
Hello.
So, Shea, let's start with you. Tell us about your business, what your business you're in.
So we are Aloha Plumbing, Heating, and Air. We're located in Calimesa on County Line Road. We do full service residential and commercial plumbing, obviously heating and air. That means from the ground up.
All right, and I pass by you every day on my way to City Hall on County Line Road there. So, what prompted you to become involved with the Chamber of Commerce?
So I first started with Calimesa, as we know, and I really liked what I saw there. I liked how well Donea really promoted small businesses through social media, and from there I started networking. I got to know people, and I really felt that I was forging important relationships, and it directly affected my business, and that's really why I got involved in it.
So, in your role as president of the chamber, what do you do in that role?
Well, honestly, Donea does most of it. I go to all the meetings. I go to the breakfasts. We support however we can with the different events that we have. I go to other chamber meetings and I support them as well, and we just kind of network together. All right,
Donea, I always get your name incorrect. I'm sorry.
You're not the only one.
Donea Matheson, your title is executive assistant, but you basically are you the only official employee of the chamber?
I am the only paid employee for the chamber, yes.
Okay. So tell us about your background and how you came to the Calimesa Chamber of Commerce.
For 20 years, I actually worked in the motorcycle business. I worked for various parts distributors in customer service and sales. I then had my daughter in 2013, and I was a stay-at-home mom for a little while. And when she went to school, I wanted a part-time job, and I just happened to land a job with the Chamber of Commerce.
So tell us about your role with the chamber. What is it that your work day looks like, and what do you do? I think it's a little bit of everything, right? It's kind of. Yeah. I think I probably have about the same hard time describing what I do.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you have the same problem, right?
Yes, I wear many hats. Being the only employee, my tasks are. I have a variety of tasks every day. from accounting for the chamber, social media, website building, invoicing our members, just overall office duties of the Chamber of Commerce.
So obviously this event, is the state of the city is always done in conjunction with the Calimesa Chamber of Commerce and the city of Calimesa. We've been fortunate to have a very good relationship with the Chamber of Commerce. That's not always the case. There are some cities that have a very at odds relationship with their chamber, and I think, to me, from the city side, it's very, very important to have that partnership. Absolutely. And so when we came to you with this idea, tell us the first thoughts that went through your head. You can both answer that question.
At first, I was like, well, that's different. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, well, no, we could do this. This is a great idea. This is a way to forge that connection between the businesses, the city, and the community. Shea?
Absolutely, I think so too. I think bringing our vendors here are chamber members, and it gives them a great opportunity to reach out to the community in a very tangible way and make that connection face to face, which is super cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that at least we're not, completely reinventing the wheel here, because other cities have done this. And I think that probably, I know in conversations with both of you, that kind of give you a little more, assurance about the possibility of success for this event.
Oh, for sure.
So, in terms of, just tell us what your roles were in putting this event together from the Chamber's perspective.
Well, from the Chamber's perspective, it was definitely being able to get the vendors here and get the chamber members here, and again, trying to forge that connection with the community. And that's pretty much our role. Our motto for the chamber is helping businesses connect with the community. So that was our primary role here. And marketing the event, making sure it was on Facebook and Instagram, it was on our website. All the social, like Next Door Neighbor, the newspaper,
Even though some of the social media sites they were trying to advertise on weren't exactly cooperative, right?
Not at the beginning, but I figured it out. I won the battle at the end.
That's right.
So is there anything else you'd like to add to this?
I do look forward to doing another one of these in the future. I see a huge potential. This is our first one, obviously, as everyone knows, and I think it did turn out well.
Yep.
But I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just want to say again, thank you to both of you for your, be working so well with us and working with Darlene. Obviously, shout out to Darlene Gertis, our city clerk, deputy city manager, and just all around. The city runs because of Darlene.
Yes.
I think people would agree with that.
Yes.
And she did. This was really, her. I said at the beginning, this really was her brainchild in terms of how we were going to do this and how we were going to execute it.
Yeah.
And I thank her for that. I thank the vendors for participating and coming out and embracing this.
Yep.
And I hope this has been a very successful day for them.
Yes.
That they'll want to come back again and do this again. And I thank both of you for your time and for all of your efforts through this whole thing.
Thank you, Will, and thank you to Darlene and Yeza. Everybody's been awesome, and we look forward to doing this again. And our next event will be the parade. We'll be working the parade together. So
that's right. Awesome. A few short months away. Yep. Just from one event onto another.
That's right. That's what we do.
And do we want to plug another event we have coming up in 2 weeks?
Yeah, our scholarship fundraiser, A Night at the Races. It's virtual horse racing. So it's past horse races, but it's all televised, and they've changed the names of the horses. So basically, you bet on the horses, and if you win, you get raffle tickets, and you put the raffle tickets in the buckets to win prizes. The tickets are $40, but you get dinner, a drink, and your funny money and raffle tickets, and it's just a really fun night, and it's all for our scholarship fund. We give scholarships out every year to graduating high school students. Come on out and saddle up for scholarships.
It's October 21st.
October 21st.
Yeah, October 21st from 6 to 9 at Plantation on the Lakes. And
All
you
right.
can get tickets through the website, right, Donea?
Yes, you can order tickets through the website.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to that. I look forward to being there.
Yay.
So, and having fun. I'm not a big horse racing guy, so we'll see how it goes.
We aren't either, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, again, thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you
Will.
for having us.
Welcome back to Calimesa Insider. Will Kolbow here. And we're wrapping up here at the State of the City. We're so thankful for all of our sponsors that were here. I'm going to go through the list of sponsors real quick here. Our neighborhood sponsors. City of Calimesa, of course. Cunningham Davis Corporation. Sullivan's Party Rentals. 5th District Supervisor Ixchian Gutierrez from Riverside County. Trifocus Wealth Management, Bircher Development, Twin Graphics, our neighboring city of Beaumont, Shop Off Group, SoCal Gas Company, Southern California Edison, Redlands Community Hospital, and CR&R Environmental Services. Thank you for your support of this event. It's very much appreciated. A lot of, we've kind of gone through it a lot, but I'm going to say it again. A lot of work went into putting this event on, so we're very appreciative of our sponsors because they make it possible. I also want to send a special thank you to our DJ, Ryan Miller from the city of Yucaipa. Appreciate it, man. Great job today. And so with that, we're going to wrap up. Thanks for joining us on the Calimesa Insider. Remember, the city's website is, is cityofcalimesa.net. And please, if you want to subscribe to the podcast, just visit the website and go down to the bottom and click on the City Managers podcast, and you can find it there. If you listen to podcasts on the regular basis, just go to whatever podcast catcher you normally use, and you can find us there. Our city council meetings are held on the first and third Monday of the month. So if you want to come down in person, it's at the Norton Young Love Senior Center, 6 o'clock, first and third Mondays of the month. So until next time, we're going to talk about infrastructure. We're going to talk about economic development in future episodes. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And again, thank you for joining us on the podcast. And thank you for joining us today at the State of the City. Hope everyone had a great time. And we'll see you all next time.